Hi friends, it's Amy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm starting a reading vlog for Peter Pan. I did a video a while back about all of the books, there were 3, that mentioned Peter Pan in some way, shape, or form. As either a book that a teacher or a librarian shared with children, or it was a Peter Pan retelling, or the cast or the characters were in the play Peter Pan. So those were the three ways in which I saw this. And I have never read Peter Pan. I love the Disney movie. I enjoyed Finding Neverland. I also loved Hook. That I don't think that's canon, but that was good as well. So anyway, I have the book Peter Pan. I had it in my classroom, and I decided that I wanted to actually read it because I never have before. And this version is an Aladdin Classic, and it has a foreword by Susan Cooper. I can't think for the life of me what book the exact name. I think it's The Gray King or The Dark King. The Dark Rising is the series, I want to say. She won the Newbery for sure. It's really going to bother me that I can't remember, but I've never read it, but I read snippets of her work, and she's a very good author. I mean, she won the Newbery. So she wrote the foreword, and some things that I found, I've already read the foreword. I just read it. And some things that I found really interesting in the foreword is that she talked about her mom going to see the play when she was 4 in 1904. And then she talked about the fact that the play was written as a book in 1911, that Barry turned the play into a book in 1911, which I didn't realize that this was a play first. I don't know if maybe I should have, but I didn't. I didn't realize it. But she also talks about how the famous line at the end where Peter looks at the audience and says, "Clap if you believe in fairies," and the audience claps, that the orchestra was warned to be ready to drop your instruments and clap in case nobody else did, which I thought was really interesting. But the very, very first night, when Peter says that, the character Peter says that, played by Nina Bosicalt, I think, the audience response was so overwhelming that the actress burst into tears of relief and astonishment. I think that's really cool. It talks about his inspiration for Wendy was his mom, how she had to become a mother to her younger brother when her own mother died. And his first inspiration for Peter was his brother David, who died in an accident when he was 13 and remained a boy forever in his mother's mind. There's a lot of information just in there. But anyway, so I'm going to read the first chapter. The first chapter is about 13 pages long. So I think I'm going to start by listening to it and following along. And after the first chapter, I'll come back and I will. I'm not going to update after every chapter, but after this first chapter, I am. So I will see you in a bit. So I am one chapter in, and I don't know how I feel about it. Because, okay, so first of all, the first line is 5 stars, right? I mean, all children except one grow up. It's one of the most famous first lines in the world. It's so intriguing. And I mean, there's a good reason why this is a famous first line. But then it goes on to talk about how they soon know that they will grow up. And the way Wendy knew this was this. One day when she was 2 years old, she was playing in a garden and she plucked another flower and ran with it to her mother. I suppose she must have looked rather delightful, for Mrs. Darling put her hand to her heart and cried, "Oh, why can't you remain like this forever?" This was all that passed between them on the subject, but henceforth Wendy knew that she must grow up. You always know after you are 2. 2 is the beginning of the end. It's just, what? Okay. And then, it talks about how Mr. and Mrs. Darling got together. So it says, the way Mr. Darling won her was this. The many gentlemen who had been boys when she was a girl discovered simultaneously. Why? Why does everybody have to fall in love at the same, what is up with that? Is that a trope that is a thing? Because that's weird. That they loved her, and they all ran to her house to propose to her, except Mr. Darling, who took a cab and nipped in first, and so he got her. Really? Then it talks about how when they first got married, she would take care of the books, and she did it perfectly and gleefully as if it was a game, not so much as a Brussels sprout was ever missing. But by and by, whole cauliflowers dropped out, and instead of them were the pictures of babies without faces. So as soon as women decide they want to have babies, of course they get terrible at whatever job they're doing. That's weird. So, and then it talks about when Wendy was born, it was doubtful whether they would be able to keep her, as she was another mouth to feed. So Mr. Darling was very proud of her, but he was honorable. And he sat on the edge of Mrs. Darling's bed, holding her hand and calculating the expenses while she looked at him imploringly. Like, she is begging him to say, yeah, we can keep her. And he's just like, oh, I don't know. Let's see. What? And Wendy apparently started crying while he was doing this, and he yelled at her. She's like a nail. I can't. That's different. I mean, his concerns are valid. Like, he's talking about, well, it's a lot of money to have a kid. I have to make sacrifices for us to keep her. Like, that's great. And then he talks about, like, well, what if she gets the measles? What if she gets the mumps? What if whatever? What if she gets whooping cough? She gets whooping cough. It'll cost us 15 shillings. It's so much exposition. Like, this is weirdly specific exposition that tells us a lot about Mr. Darling's character. One thing that I find really cool is that they talk about the child's they needed a nanny for the kids because they had to keep up appearances, but they couldn't afford a real, like, human nurse, so they had a dog nurse. Nanny. They were poor owing to the amount of milk the children drank. But they had a dog who kept them in line, and it's so cute. This, like, how he talks about how she, like, took care of the kids, and it just sounds so, like, yeah, well, that's like a dog. Yeah, you know, like, she's a very personified dog, but holy cow, like, this, yeah. Okay, so then when they talk about Peter Pan, so this is kind of cool too. So Mrs. Darling, it talks about how Mrs. Darling would, when the kids were asleep, she would go and she would, like, check their minds and get rid of all the naughty stuff they were thinking up, and she would, you know, organize their thoughts. So fantasy. But while she was doing this, she started to hear about this kid, Peter. And she was like, who's this Peter that's in my kid's dreams? And so she had to ask her kids about it. And they said, well, he's this kid, you know him. And she's like, no, I don't. But she said, oh, and they call the kids' minds their Neverlands, which I thought was really, really cool. Like that they all had their own Neverland that was unique to them. And then, okay, so then she said that she remembered hearing stories about this Peter Pan who lived with fairies. And there were odd stories about him that when children died, he went part of the way with them so they shouldn't be frightened. And that just sounds just like, oh, like that's so cool. But then it's also morbid because you think about like all of the lost boys on Neverland and how, wait, so are all the lost boys like dead? And he like, is that like, are we going that far with this metaphor, with this idea? I don't know that we are, but I thought that was interesting. And then she said that the children would like say like a couple weeks ago that when they were in the woods, they had met their dead father and had a game with him. So then you're like, wait, what happened to Mr. Darling? Did Mr. Darling die? There are like leaves that don't come from a tree around on the windowsill. Mrs. Darling is like, where did these come from? And she's like, oh, Peter. Like Wendy says that. Oh, I just wish he wasn't so naughty. It's so naughty of him not to wipe the leaves. That was weird. But then it talks about how Mrs. Darling fell asleep and while she was sleeping, okay, she dreamt that Neverland had come too near and that a strange boy had broken through from it. He did not alarm her, for she thought she had seen him before in the faces of many women who have no children. Perhaps he is to be found in the faces of some mothers also, but in her dream he had rent the film that obscures the Neverland, and she saw Wendy and John and Michael peeping through the gap. The dream itself would have been a trifle, but while she was dreaming, the window of the nursery blew open and a boy did drop on the floor. He was accompanied by a strange light no bigger than your fist, which had darted around the room like a living thing, and I think it must have been this light that wakened Mrs. Darling. She started up with a cry and saw the boy, and somehow she knew at once that he was Peter Pan. So now, okay, so now we're at the part that I recognize. I want to say in the movie Peter Pan, Mr. and Mrs. Darling are leaving for the night. They have an event that they're going to, and that's when Peter Pan shows up. But I can't remember. I'll have to watch it if I can. I don't own it. Is it on Disney Plus? I don't know. I'll have to find out. So anyway, that's chapter 1. Mrs. Darling looks up and sees Peter Pan. Why does Mrs. Darling see him? Okay. All right. I think I'm going to stop here, though. I'm going to... I have some errands to run. I have some things to pick up at the store. And I don't know if I will read something else when I get back or if I'll continue to read this for a little while. I'm going to listen in my car. I'm going to continue and listen in my car to Peter Pan. So then I don't know where I'll go from there. So we'll see. I will update you later. I'll see you in a bit. Hi, I am back from my errands this morning. I listened to, 2.5 chapters. I'm on chapter 4. I forgot to bring my headphones with me. They were sitting right here. So I couldn't listen to them while I was in the store. And that's okay. So I'm at the flight, and that's where they're actually flying to Neverland. And it's kind of cool to see how much like the book, the movie actually is. Because there are lines in the book that I remember being in the movie. And I just think that's really cool. When I last updated, I feel like I said something about Mrs. Darling seeing Peter and that being the first time we see Peter, and that's weird. Or not weird, but that's different. But my mind neglected to remember that Peter is like visiting and he loses his shadow. And so he comes back to get his shadow. And that's like totally the same in the book and the movie. So anyway, I was wrong about that being a difference. It's not. It's just that we see more at the beginning of the story than the Disney movie shows us. So it's still really cool. I wanted to show you something that came in the mail. I saw on Instagram, an Instagram account was promoting this Etsy shop, Alicia marks it. And she does a lot of like bookmarks and like pop culture bookmarks and things like that. And I was checking out her shop, and she does a lot of, she just had a lot of cute things. And my sister is super into bookish things. So I felt like it was a great place to get some gifts for her. And I don't think she's going to see this. So I'm going to share it with you because I also got some stuff for me. But it came in this little bag like this. I already opened it and made sure I had everything that I needed. So the first thing, this is totally for me. I got this bookmark. It says, "I'll be there for you," which I think is really cool. That it like is totally like bookish, like your bookmark is there for you. And it's totally Friends. So you have the Friends couch there. It's so cool. It's laminated and just kind of, it's just a really sturdy, nice bookmark. And it has Alicia marks it on the back. So there's actually her Instagram account is there as well. I'll link it down in the bottom. So I got that for me. And then this, I got this bookmark for my sister. And it says iced coffee and steamy reads. And that is my sister to a T. She loves iced coffee. She loves steamy romance novels. My brother-in-law makes fun of her for it all the time. It's hilarious. Again, it's nice and sturdy material. She's going to love this. And then, this one I have opened. So this, she has cats. So I have two nephew kitties. And so we have a cat on top of a stack of books and coffee. And it's one of those, I love these bookmarks. It's a magnetic. So it sticks on like this. And it's a strong magnet because, yeah. So it's really cute. I'm a little weary about how small the magnet is, but it's still really cute. I really like it. So look at that. It's just adorable. I got one of those for me too. And then she sent this cardstock TBR shelf. This is way too thick to be a bookmark. For me, because I'm crazy like that, but this is adorable and I love it. I could see actually even, I don't know, putting it in my journal or something, but that's absolutely adorable. I just love it. That's really cool. So I wanted to share that with you because why not? I will link her Etsy shop down in the description. It's pretty high quality material for not very expensive. So, you know, support small businesses, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to continue listening to Peter Pan for a little while because I have some like stuff that I want to do. And then I'm going to switch books. So we'll see how far I get. So I will update on Peter Pan again tomorrow. All right, so I just finished reading chapters 4 and 5 of Peter Pan. I was listening and reading along. This audio is fabulous. I'm really enjoying it. There are some songs that the pirates kind of chant, like sea shanties, and he sings them on the audio. So that's really cool. In the movie, I really remember thinking when I like Tinkerbell, I remember thinking Tinkerbell was like terrible. Like, dude, Tink, stop being a jealous psycho. You're crazy. Guys, Disney tamed her down. Seriously. She's like raging jealous psycho. Like psychotic. It's wow. It's crazy. I just don't remember Tinkerbell being this crazy psychotic. But maybe she was, and I just don't remember. But anyway, so I'm going to stop reading for tonight, I think. And I'm 33% done. It's reading really fast. The fact that I've watched the movie and kind of know the story is helping a lot. I love that the crocodile and the ticking clock, I love that those are actually true parts of the story and not just made up by Disney. I love that so much. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Okay. I swear, when I tell you that I'm going to finish or I'm going to stop reading Peter Pan today, I'm not purposefully lying. But it's still the same day. And I am now on chapter 11. It's just, I had something to do. So I figured I might as well keep listening. And so I did. And it's so good. Jim Dale is so good at narrating audiobooks. He's so good. His voices, his enunciation, his emphasis on importance, his rise and fall of cadence. It's so good. So good. It just propels you. And I just keep on wanting to know more about how the book transferred into the movie. So one thing that I've really been wondering as I read this is how much time is passing in the real world while they're in Neverland. Because in the book, at the point where I am right now, it's almost like they've been in Neverland for months, maybe just weeks. I don't know, a long time, long enough that they have like major routines going and they know what's happening and they're in this like groove and they're starting to get sick of it. Like they've been there this long. There's been all kinds of adventures. Some are just kind of breezed through in the narration. Some are a little bit longer in the narration, but tons of stuff has been happening in the book. And I just really the adult in me is like, please tell me that there is less time going by at home than on Neverland. Because I just am heartbroken for these parents right now. Yeah. Another thing that I find really funny that I want to share that's not really a spoiler is the Lost Boys and Peter treat Wendy like a mother. And John and Michael treat her as a mother too. And they think of all these stereotypes of what a mother is supposed to be. And that is how they react to her and when she says things. So they say different things to her depending on how they think they're supposed to act. So like Wendy will say something to Peter and Peter will be like, oh, old lady, blah, 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 as if he's like her husband, because that's what is supposed to happen, because they look at Peter as if he's the father. And so Wendy will say things like, oh, Peter, I just feel like John has your nose. That she has heard her dad say. And that's just, it's really funny to me because they like are playing this like back and forth game, but then Peter's also like, wait, but I'm not really their dad, right? And it's funny. It's funny. So anyway, also I got this package in the mail and I don't know what it is because I am a patron of Krista at Books and Jams, and she, for her birthday month, ran a Christmas in July activity, and it's through Elfster, and so we could sign up for it, and I did, and you sign up for it, and then you get a name, and then you use the wish list that is there to let whoever has your name choose something for you, and it was like a $20 cap. And I think that's what this is. So I'm just going to see what it is. Oh my gosh, that's totally what it is. Okay. It says, enjoy your Books and Jams Christmas in July gift. From Debbie. Oh my gosh. So thank you, Debbie. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. Oh my gosh. I am so excited to have this book in my hands. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you. Okay. So Finley Donovan is killing it. This is actually, I put it on my TBR after currently reading indie press list talked about it. And then I've been seeing it everywhere as well. I want to say I'll put the bookstore that recommended it in the comments, because the indie press list, like the whole point is that you actually, support that store. So I'd still like to support that store in some way. So I'm going to put the store that recommended this book in the comments down below. But so Finley Donovan is killing it, except she's not really. A stressed out single mom of two, a struggling novelist. Finley finds her life in chaos. The new book she promised her literary agent isn't written. Her ex-husband fired the nanny without telling her, and this morning she had to send her 4-year-old to school with hair duct taped to her head after an incident with scissors. When Finlay is overheard discussing the plot of her new suspense novel with her agent over lunch, she's mistaken for a contract killer and inadvertently accepts an offer to dispose of a problem husband in order to make ends meet. Finlay soon discovers that crime in real life is a lot more difficult than its fictional counterpart as she becomes entangled in a murder investigation. Oh my gosh. This just looks so good. I cannot wait. Thank you. Well, this was supposed to take a week. It's a really good thing I didn't have a lot of things to do today or a lot of places that I needed to go. So when I needed to do things, I could listen to it. There are things that bug me, definitely. But I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. The ending, I almost want to cry. It's not, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but it's not an ending that it's not like, yay, super happy. It's a little happy, but yeah. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to watch Peter Pan now. And then I think I'm going to, hello light. It's just there. So I'm going to watch Peter Pan, the Disney version. It's on Disney Plus. And then I'm going to wrap it up. All right, I moved. I came in the living room to watch the movie, and the parts of Peter Pan, the movie, that are well done are well done. But the parts of Peter Pan that are stereotypical are so cringy. Everything having to do with Native Americans, it's so cringy. I agree with Disney for taking Peter Pan off of the kids, like the kids' profiles. I think, I looked into it more. I think that it's really important that parents that are choosing to let their kids watch Peter Pan are also having a conversation with them about the disclaimer that Disney put at the beginning. I don't know if the disclaimer is enough, to be totally and completely honest. I don't know. But there are some really, really good parts of this movie. And I wouldn't want it to be completely gone, is the thing. So some big changes happen at the end of Peter Pan that I'm not really going to get into from the movie to the book. I'm not going to really get into them because I don't want to spoil the book or the movie. But some big changes happen there. Basically, the whole second half of the movie is completely different. They changed how everything happened. The part of the native speakers was so much more important in the book. And honestly, the movie just whittled it down to stereotypes and cringe. But in the book, they're still referred to in terms that I wouldn't want to use, but they are seen as respectable, contributing members of society, which they aren't in the movie at all. So take with that what you will. I enjoyed Peter Pan, the book. I still enjoy the movie, except for the cringy parts. I look forward to knowing what the book is talking about the next time I get to a book that brings up Peter Pan. And that's about all I need to say. I don't know how long this is going to be, but it was a good day of reading. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little bit sad that I did it all in one day because now what do I do? I mean, I know what I do. I've got a lot of stuff to do. So I'm starting a buddy read of Keeper of the Lost Cities with Krista. So I'm actually going to try and start this tonight yet. I have a couple other books that I'm working on yet too. So yeah, I am just trying to get all the reading I can in the month of July because, as I said, the month of August, I'm going to be back in my classroom and I will be listening to a lot of books, but not being able to sit and read a lot. So I'm just going to say, until I see you again, happy reading. Bye.